What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning back into Reality Unplugged. You know, there's something that President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris have been pushing, a certain word that they've been uttering ever since they ran for office, that I'm going to be honest, if they meant it and they were saying it and using it in the right spirit, I would be 100% on board with. Biden and Harris have run on a platform of unity since the early days of their presidential race and ever since Inauguration Day. Everything in his speeches is always talking about unity and bringing the country together. And yet, every order that he signs tends to drive more and more of a wedge between Americans and Americans. If everybody could come together and we could be the nation that we were before, this nation has always had disagreements. This nation has always had people that believed differently. But when it came to causes that mattered, we were able to come together and be a force, not only for our own nation, but for the rest of the world. Right now, not only are we not able to get Democrats and Republicans to come together and agree on anything, but even within their own party, the isms and schisms tend to cause more clashes than they do unification. And it's not just their party. The Republican Party is falling apart too. People who are too afraid to stand up and are cowering under pressure from the media and from Hollywood and from different members in Congress, folding and giving verdicts and giving opinions that they feel will be more popular. And the division doesn't stop in Washington. Hollywood itself is eating itself from the inside, with stars like Kevin Sorbo, who for the longest time have been a household name, and who has turned to doing Christian movies and Christian faith-based interviews and standing up for conservative rights, having his Facebook profile deleted and his page taken off and never being given an answer why, simply for standing up for being a conservative and being a believer. Not to mention, as we've already discussed, Gina Carano being kicked off of her show and being excluded by Hollywood for being a Trump supporter. And the list just goes on, with longtime movie star Matthew McConaughey standing up and announcing his conservative views and being censored and being shunned by Hollywood. Even big tech, as much as they're trying to run the country, can't seem to agree on things these days, with Apple threatening to completely disenfranchise Facebook by taking away all of their ability to spy and steal data from its users when using their devices. Outspoken Democrats such as New York Mayor Cuomo, who have stood so hard against President Trump and the Republican Party and the conservative movement, and stood with Antifa and Black Lives Matter during the riots, now coming under fire for covering up deaths to make his management style of COVID-19 pandemic in New York seem like it wasn't so bad, covering up over almost 2,000 nursing home deaths just within the city, being criticized by people of his own party, but being defended by actors in Hollywood. The schism and the breakdown is just all over the place. And while it's important for the citizens living here in the United States that our country not be divided, that we be united on the issues that matter, it's not just our nation that needs us to be united. For years and years, the U.S. has been seen by the rest of the world. I know we get criticized, I know we get put down, I know there's nations that hate us, but we have historically been the nation that once trouble breaks out and you're oppressed and you're being beaten down, our nation is the one you call for help. And right now, we are so concerned with fighting amongst ourselves. Most of us don't even understand that there are countries across the globe who are calling for our assistance. In Myanmar, which is a country in Asia near China, the military has overthrown their government and is putting in a military state, and they are calling for the U.S. to please come and assist them to reject this coup because they don't want a militarized government, and they're asking the U.S. and the UN for help. While the Chinese Communist Party rounds up Muslims owned by the millions and putting them in concentration camps and torturing them and putting them in conditions that are similar to Holocaust conditions, and taking women and children and putting them to torture and to abuse. And they are calling out for help from a nation that's supposed to be a developed nation that's able to have its stuff together to be able to help other people. And we can't do it right now because we're too divided. Jesus said in Luke 11:17, "Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and the house divided against the house falleth." The same thing will happen to a nation. And as much as the rest of the world doesn't want to admit it, if America falls, there's a lot of other countries that fall. We need to come together and be unified, but we also can't back down and give up on the things that are important. We have to fight for what's right and make this country great again. If you haven't already done it, do me a favor, give me a like, hit that subscribe button, punch that notification bell so you get alerted to all of our new content. This is the way.